he can get any Sudanese there to speak, because there would be nothing more powerful than that. And he's been working on that. I'm looking locally, too, see if I can find anybody. But I'm sure they'll only take just one. I have to go, I'm sorry. I have to go.
That's okay.
Can I call you later?
Please do. I'd like to get more information for you. I'd like to write about it. But thanks, Paul.
Right.
Wanted to give you a chance to give us in your own words. Have a great day.
Right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Well, there you have it, folks. From his own mouth. Unfortunately, having a busy day here. He's a teacher by trade, like I said. So he has to deal with his students. It's currently like almost coming up on 9:30 in the morning. So, but Paul Sutton he's a really smart guy. He does public speaking and investigative journalism in his spare time when he's not teaching. And he also has written a couple of books and contributed to a couple of books. And he's got another one. I think he's working on another one that's going to be coming out soon. That was what he was doing for a good portion of the summer. Not so much writing the news articles as doing some deep investigative research for a book. And one of the things that Paul had discovered is that the Muslim Brotherhood has been slowly but surely infiltrating a lot of colleges, and it's a lot of these are your local community colleges throughout the United States. They've kind of, they've been doing a fair job in avoiding your larger state schools and your private institutions, because something happens there, say the wrong thing, it's a lot easier to be found out, I guess. So they've been working on the network of community colleges throughout the U.S., trying to get their hooks in, sway the ideology, kind of indoctrinate people at that level before they go on to the bigger four-year colleges and stuff like that. So Paul's been looking into this, and he found a good chunk of it in the Connecticut area. Now, Paul teaches in New York. I think he's still in New York. But he's found that they have increased things with Muslim chaplaincy programs, trying to bring more and more students into it, et cetera, et cetera. And they've even done some amount of advocating. This is in U.S. schools, folks. Advocating for the genocide of Christians in these predominantly Muslim countries. And of course that lends to making it okay to do so here in the States in the future, at least setting the groundwork for that. Basic Alinsky type tactics, folks. I hate to put it that way, but that's kind of what it is. It's building the moral relevancy there. Oh, if it's okay over there, why not over here now? It's moral relevancy eroding at the moral fiber. The things that make our liberty, our freedom, and the fact that we have free will so great is that we have a choice. Well, they're kind of perverting that choice. You can choose evil. It's not really that evil. It's not as evil as this. So you can take that little step. It's not really evil. It's just kind of a little wicked in a good way, right? When you get to doing that, when they say, well, what's the difference between that and this next step? Nothing really major. It's not like you're doing this, and eventually you're doing flat out, sinning. There's no, all of a sudden it's morally relevant to go on a mass murdering spree. Well, I'm sorry, folks, I find that unacceptable. So you have to watch every little step, every little temptation. And it's your choice to take it or not. I'm not going to tell you not to. I'm not going to tell you don't have that choice. But I'm saying every time you make that choice to do something that leans towards evil, and that the easier it is for the temptation for the greater steps to come, one after another, until eventually you think there's nothing wrong with being a flat-out evil person. So you really have to watch yourself and make those good choices. It's like you're trying to eat right and have a good diet. And then you say, well, what's wrong with one little cheat meal? Okay, next it becomes, what's wrong with a cheat day? What's wrong with a cheat weekend? Hey, I've been on this healthy diet, not, trying to lose weight, but just trying to eat healthy. I've been doing this thing for 6 months. I'm going to take a whole month off and eat like total garbage for a month. You see how it slowly slips, folks? And then it eventually comes, why should I even bother to eat healthy? There's no difference. Now that I've gained 100 pounds and my veins and arteries are all clogged and I have type 2 diabetes, which is causing my veins to even to not be able to dilate enough anymore, so the circulation is cut off and my feet are starting to die and my leg is starting to die and I have to have it amputated. But it doesn't matter, I'm happy, right? I can't even get off my couch now. But I'm happy, right? Somebody needs to take care of me. It's the slippery slope, folks. That little temptation. The little ones are okay if you have enough willpower to have that little one and stop. But if you keep letting it tempt you further and further and further, eventually you've gone so deep into temptation that coming back is going to be even harder. It's kind of like quitting smoking, folks. Something I did recently. I could reasonably have one at bedtime to help me sleep through the night. And I don't really Jones the next day. I say this because I've actually done this. I start getting the jonesing at night. Well, I have it right before bed, or I have it about an hour before bed. And the next day, I haven't been all that bad. And I've done that like twice. Now I don't even jones at night. It's more of a worry of if I'm going to or not. So I don't need them anymore. I've, for all intents and purposes, quit. Because I get up in the morning and I'm not jonesing for my cigarette. But, if I start to think, if I just have that one, I'll be okay. I'll be able to quit again. Well, after what I went through quitting, I actually have to very quickly remind myself, you remember the Nick Fits those first 3 or 4 days where, you're feeling constant frustration, like you want to just claw your eyes out and claw through the wall because it's not there, and you're feeling like you're about to argue and lose your rationality and go from arguing to physical with everybody who so much as says, hi, how you doing? Are you having a nice day? Do you really want to go through that again? Is that one cigarette worth that again? Because, yeah, you can quit again. You can handle the one, but you're going to be having those feelings all over again. Do you really want them? No, I don't. So that's the way it is with every temptation, folks. Of course, I bring up an addiction because that's what the temptation to evil really is. It's a temptation towards addiction. Because once you've taken that little taste, can you really pull back? Some of us can drink one beer and not have another beer for 2 or 3 months. Or a shot of whiskey, or, in my case, a good hard cider. Apple cider or pear cider. Because we're gluten-free for certain reasons, folks. But I'm not going to have one and not crave one the next day where I have to have one. I can have one and say, hey, it tastes good, and not have another for 6 months. And it wouldn't faze me one way or the other. Some people can do that. Other people, they have one drink. You better haul their butt into a meeting. Because if you don't, that one drink is going to lead to a complete bender. And those people are called alcoholics. They're addicted. So it is that way with some people. And it's that way with some things, not necessarily your chemicals. It's certain activities as well. You can call them habits, you can call them addictions, you can call them fixations, you can call them obsessions. You can call them just temptations. So there's the closest you're going to get from a theological discussion from me. So just kind of want to mention that is kind of what they're doing. So on September 17th, if you're in or near Hartford, Connecticut, go ahead and meet at the state capitol and join in and take the little march down to the seminary and listen to what they have to say. You might not necessarily agree with them, but at least listen to what they have to say and take in the information and then make up your own mind, folks. And for those who aren't able to make that, I'm sure that there'll be somebody there who can get us kind of what's said and what's going on. So, as stated, this all started from a little bit of investigating and then a speech that Paul Sutton did about some of the things that were going on in local colleges and graduate schools. And it just was shocking to some people who had no idea exactly how bad it is. Anyway, want to thank Paul for having been on the show, and we're going to kind of look at where we can go from here and what else to talk about. We have a whole bunch of interesting things, folks, and that's the thing, is I actually did up my program notes and realized that I don't have time in this hour to talk about all this wonderful stuff I can bring up. So I'm picking and choosing a few things here. For those that don't know, I just talked about things going on, well, it's going on nationwide, but it's kind of discovered in and around the Connecticut and New England area. So I'm going to readdress and grab and pull your focus down here to this little speck of dust, a little bit south of Connecticut. No, not east of Connecticut. The little spot of dust east of Connecticut's called Rhode Island. This is the other insignificant spot of dust, the one that's sandwiched between Oklahoma and Mexico. The one that everybody wants to ignore, the one that isn't responsible for doing much in this current economy, not averaging anywhere near anywhere from 10 to 20% of the new jobs created on a given month, or as far as last month goes. It's closer to 33% of the new jobs created in the country for August were created in this little speck of dust called Texas. So, things going on here in Texas should be of interest, because, of course, Texas all hinges with a little bit of the pro-life, pro-infanticide debate. And we have abortion Barbie, otherwise known as Wendy Davis, is running for governor. Now, folks, Davis knows she is not going to win, not this time around. What she can hope for is to give the campaign a good run for the money and serve as a fundraiser kind of spotlight for other Democratic Party elections in the state of Texas, and then future elections that there may be some hopefuls where the race is a little bit closer, so that she can actually get some funding in there from her soon-to-be failed bid for governor. She's behind in the polls by double digits and increasing. But her new book comes out soon. And with her book, she also gave an announcement that she had 2, air quotes here, folks, 2 abortions in the 90s. Which is why she supports abortion so much. And opposed the Texas laws that kind of put some restrictions on abortions to make them safer for the women getting them. But never mind that makes them safer. She thinks that they should be open and available, so any woman who wants to kill a child can do so, all the way up until a child is a year old. She has actually said that in the past, folks. She would deny it now, but she has said it in the past. I need to try to see if I can get those clips again, because I heard them like 2 years ago or so. So if I can find them, I will put them up on the air, but I heard them. So this isn't some invented bit of hyperbole. So anyway, Miss Pink Shoes Abortion Barbie has now admitted to having 2 abortions. Here is a little bit of the rest of the story on that one, folks. One of her so-called abortions was as happens more often than not, her egg was fertilized outside of the womb. But she ended up with, I think they kind of call it a tubal pregnancy. Anyway, it never implanted in the womb. It implanted elsewhere. And medically, they do not even consider that an implantation. So they do not consider it an abortion. It's just a procedure because the child is never going to survive. And chances are it's going to be something that's medically life-threatening to the mother. So that was one case where she had that. And like I said, technically, scientifically, by the current medical guidelines and regulations and the way they look at things, it was not even an abortion. But she called it as one. And yes, when you think about it, a potential life was snuffed out. But it was one that probably would not have happened anyway. I hate to put it that way, but that's kind of the truth. It never would have gone full term, because if it wasn't implanted in the womb, it's just not going to happen. That's just science. And it's a sad fact. But she also had a second one where she had some kind of tests done, and the second child would have been born deaf, dumb, blind, and, basically born a Democrat. Deaf, dumb, blind, and stupid. So, she was afraid for the second child that it would have been born without much of a chance, probably born to a vegetative state. Who knows what drugs she was taking at the time that led to this to happen to the poor fetus, or what drugs the guy she was cheating on her husband with led to this, or what they were both doing together. But was the sad case of what would have happened with the second child. So that one was aborted. So our heart goes out to the life of that poor child, that life that never was, and would have had a very poor quality of life thanks to whatever bad decisions cheating mommy and adulterous daddy had done for that, because she was messing around on her husband Jeff at the time, so it probably was not her husband's child. It was probably somebody else's. And it was pointed out in an article over at BuzzPo, it so happens that both of these abortions occurred. Like I said, one wasn't even an abortion, and the second one, kind of understandable. By the way, under the current Texas laws, the ones that she's so against, both of those would have been perfectly legal and fine. They were both performed in a hospital to top it off. So they were done safely, both those procedures. The abortion, the actual one of the two that really was an abortion, and the other one that was just a medical procedure that was not technically an abortion. So they were both done within what are the current Texas laws, the very ones that she opposes. Hers still would have fit the bill and still been fine. So air's kind of gone out of there. Well, these are all put up in her outcoming book, or soon-to-be out book, and she started a book tour. Amazing, she's doing a book tour while campaigning for governor. She's got time enough to do both. The interesting thing is the timing of this, because she had 100% control of when the book was going to be released. So she's releasing it now, just 2 months before the general election. Why? Well, she's hoping that it'll get her better in the polls and help to generate fundraising in general for the Democratic Party here in Texas, because the party is losing in Texas, and it's still losing. They've pretty much pulled out a good chunk of their support for Wendy Davis because of how bad she's doing, and how every time she opens her mouth she shoves her dirty little fungus covered toes in it. And it just has been costing them more and more. So she's lost a lot of backing that she had. I mean, the Democratic Governors Association won't even endorse her. They don't think she stands a chance. And I think she knows she doesn't stand a chance. Why she hasn't pulled out yet? Well, again, she's raising money. So she's putting this up. The question comes out with this new, folks. With her official bio, we found out from her ex-husband, her official bio had enough in it that you could pretty much call a thing a complete lie. How much of this book is going to be fiction and how much is going to be fact? Based on the fact that we know she's willing to lie, and she never changed her official bio. She still tried to hold by it, even though now everybody knows the truth. She was full of it. She was never a single mother. She was single for about 3 weeks before she hooked up with Jeff Davis, who she was probably sleeping with the whole time she was married to her first husband.